I threw a piece of human bone into the flour machine. It was quickly ground into powder. Then, while the boss wasn't looking, I dumped an entire bag of human bones into it. Now all the evidence of my crime was destroyed. I just didn't know who would end up eating this human bone flour. I used to be an ordinary old man. I couldn't even bring myself to kill a chicken, but now I had become a murderer, all because of a terrible decision I made years ago. Back then, my son wanted to go to America for further studies. He asked me for 2.5 million rupees, but for a poor family like ours, I simply couldn't afford it. Yet I didn't want to disappoint my son, so I applied for a bank loan. But the bank only approved 1 million rupees. For the remaining 1.5 million, I had no choice but to mortgage the house and take a high-interest loan. I thought once my son finished his studies, got a good job and earned money, I would be able to pay off the debt. But I never expected my own son to betray me. He did find a good job in America. He even got married and had children, but he never helped me repay the debt. He was even annoyed by me and my wife. Every time we talked, he grew impatient, especially when I mentioned the loan. He always found excuses to hang up, so the pressure of paying the huge debt fell entirely on us. One midnight, the thug Johnny came for money again. He brought a woman with him. He made the woman touch my feet. In India, this is the highest gesture of respect to elders, but I was too scared to say a word before he even spoke. I hurried into the house and brought out the interest for the month. Johnny noticed it was 2,000 short, but he didn't question me. Instead, he walked into my bedroom with the woman. A minute later, they came out with their clothes messy, looking at my ruined room. I knew it was both a warning and a humiliation. A few days later, I had just withdrawn some money from the bank when Johnny targeted me again. He snatched the money from me. When he found his car wouldn't start, he ordered me to push it. I didn't dare resist and obeyed quietly, but even such hardship did not crush my kindness. As a retired teacher, I did everything I could to tutor poor children for free. I even saved from my tiny living expenses to buy them cakes for their birthdays. But it was because of these children that I reached a dead end. That day, Johnny brought a man over to look at the house. He planned to sell my house to repay the loan. I refused him directly. I begged him again to give me a few more days. Just then, a girl finished her homework and asked me to check it. Johnny's eyes instantly shifted toward the little girl, and I knew he had just formed an evil idea. We found a huge barrel 200 meters underground and decided to use it as our escape pod. Everyone climbed into the barrel. My father closed the lid and tightened it from the outside. Our friends inside kept banging on the lid. He cried as he said his final goodbye to us. It was pouring rain outside. The groundwater around us broke through the soil. The water level started to rise. Soon, it completely submerged my father. I cried until I had no strength left. I could only watch my father sacrifice himself. The water level kept rising. The barrel floated to the surface. Suddenly, a giant boulder fell and smashed onto the barrel. Then it kept sinking. It hit a smaller rock and floated back up. After that, the barrel got tangled in a bunch of wires. We kept pounding on the walls inside, trying to break free from the wires. After several attempts, we finally freed ourselves. The barrel started rising again, but unfortunately, it crashed into a steel pipe. We tried pushing the pipe away, but water kept rushing into the barrel. Then we heard a sound from outside. It was my father. He wasn't dead. He kicked the barrel from above and freed us. Then we all pushed together and finally slipped off the steel pipe, but water was still pouring in. We used all our strength to plug the leaks, but the water came in too fast. A man shouted to block the hole with his arm. My father swam toward the barrel, trying to grab his friend's arm, but the barrel rose too quickly. The distance between them grew farther and farther. Exhausted, my father started to sink. He felt hopeless. Luckily, his foot got caught in a rope tied to the barrel. The barrel shot straight up, lifting him out of the water. We finally broke through the surface. The rescue team on the ground spotted us on the monitor and immediately prepared for extraction. But then another leak appeared in the barrel. The water level kept rising. Everyone started to panic. My father climbed out of the water, and with the last of his strength, he opened the lid from the outside. I had never played basketball before, but I could hit the basket 30 meters away with 100% accuracy. Countless strong teams sent me invites, but I turned them all down because I wanted to join a trash team that was about to disband. But the condition for joining this team was that I had to beat the captain. To others, beating the captain seemed impossible, but I had full confidence in myself. However, the captain just gave me a sideways glance, then effortlessly jumped up and placed a beer bottle on the backboard. Then he started the game with me, although I got the ball first. He didn't know how to dribble, so the captain took the ball from me, and then went for a slam dunk. At that moment, I was stunned, because I didn't expect the captain to be that strong. In the second game, I pretended to retreat and prepared for a 3-step hurdle. The captain also got ready to intercept, but I just shot directly from half court. Everyone was shocked, and I successfully joined the team. Soon, the team had its first game, but the captain intentionally put me on the bench. His reason was to let me learn some skills. Although the captain was an excellent player, his teammates were too weak, and it was hard for him to win the game alone. So he had no choice but to put me in the game. However, once I got in, I didn't know how to dribble. I was constantly losing the ball. When I finally got the chance to shoot, I ended up hitting the photographer. All the mistakes on the court made me hesitant to shoot. This time I grabbed the rebound and ran to shoot from beyond the three-point line. The audience didn't believe I could make it. The whole crowd cheered, and I secured the win for the game. After the game, I realized my shortcomings. That night, I practiced dribbling with the bus, and during the day, I was in the gym practicing shuttle runs like crazy. I even carried a basketball with me on the streets. Finally, after all my hard work, my dribbling skills improved a lot. But being good at basketball isn't just about dribbling. The key is also to be able to dunk. So I went to the captain and asked him to teach me some basketball skills. But the captain didn't want to teach me, so I am unwilling to accept this.
It was my first day as a teacher, but before I even started class, my students had already pranked me. But what they didn't know was that my real identity was a Navy SEAL operator, and the class I was assigned to was the most infamous one in the whole school. They had already scared away 20 teachers before me, but I believed I could get them back on track. The next day, I walked straight into the classroom.
Good morning!
This time, the students seemed a bit calmer, but during class, they still ignored me completely. Some were eating, some were sleeping, and some were even playing video games. I introduced myself first, but no one cared. They thought I was just as weak as the teachers before me, but what they didn't know was that I had prepared a surprise for them. I picked up a rubber band and a piece of chalk from the desk. In an instant, all of them were soaked, while I stood under an umbrella with a satisfied smile.
各位同學, welcome to my class!
Even though I gave them a good lesson, they still had no interest in studying. To change them, I first allowed them to smoke in class, and announced that whoever correctly answered 3 of my questions could leave immediately. I asked one student to hand me a pack of cigarettes, then asked them what ingredients cigarettes were made of.
尼古丁，你未舉手。尼古丁，仲有呢？焦油。Any more? 同埋一氧化碳。中。
Tony answered all the questions correctly and walked out under the jealous eyes of everyone else. Everyone got excited. They all wanted to be the next one to leave. But that scene was noticed by the principal in the distance, and he clearly wasn't happy about it. But I didn't care at all. I kept teaching with my open and free methods, and continued explaining the components and dangers of tobacco. Gradually, the students began to enjoy my class. The next day, the student who loved smoking suddenly disappeared. I learned he had been working for a gang, so I went to get my student back. But they were extremely violent fighters, and when they saw I wasn't tall, they told me to get out. But when I heard my student crying for help inside and saw how terrified he was, I didn't hesitate for a second.